Hey, what is up YouTube? This is Hypergon back again for another video. This time, before I get started, I want to actually just do a quick little announcement. I know I haven't been getting my videos out very consistently for the people who do actually follow my channel, but I have actually finally managed to figure out a good time for me to be able to get these videos out. So, starting today, I'm going to try my hardest in order to get out at least one video every Tuesday. It just happens to be my best day to make these things, so I'm going to go for that, see what happens. But enough about that. The topic of this video today is actually not the usual thing. I'm going to be talking about a new archetype, or rather new support for an archetype that's been announced for a future set. The set in question this time is Clash of Rebellions, which is set to be released in the OCG sometime in April 25th, I believe it is. So we don't know when we're getting it yet. It comes after Crossover Souls, or Crossed Souls as we're apparently calling it. And that archetype is one of my personal favorites, and the one that actually was my first ever deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is the Red Eyes archetype. You have no idea how happy I was to find out Red Eyes is finally getting some new support. And it's not the... Compared to a lot of meta decks now, and even lower tier stuff, well, at least not top tier, it's not exactly that mind-blowing, but for me, it's the support Red Eyes always needed. Plus, Blue Eyes always got its support, and don't get me wrong, I like Blue Eyes and all, I just like Red Eyes more. So when I found out that Red Eyes would get some support, I was like, finally, yes! And I am really excited about this. This is definitely going to be a deck that I have to make. But enough of my rambling. Let's go ahead and take a look at it, shall we? Okay, so first off we got this guy, the Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. And personally, I am really liking the design of this guy. I mean, he just looks so cool. He's a Red Eyes Black Dragon on fire. What's not to like? But enough of me gawking. Let's actually take a look at him, shall we? So, he has the exact same stats as a Red Eyes Black Dragon. 2400 attack, 2000 defense, 7-star dragon. However, one key difference is that he's a Gemini monster. Now, for those of you who don't know or don't fully understand what a Gemini monster is, a Gemini monster is a unique kind of card that is classified as an effect monster while in the hand, deck, and banish zone, but a normal monster while on the field or in the graveyard. It explicitly says that in the first part of the card effect on every Gemini monster. Now, it does come with an effect, so if you want it to have that effect while it is on the field, you need to normal summon it after you've already brought it out. Now, I know that sounds confusing, but think of it kind of like using your normal summon to give the monster its effect. For example, in this case, let's say you tribute your two monsters, we're just going to go bare bones basic here, and bring out the Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. Well, when he first comes out, he's going to be no different than a regular Red Eyes Black Dragon. Just a 2400 7-star monster with no effect. And you've already used your normal summon for the turn, so he's going to have to stay that way. However, on your next turn, instead of normal summoning another monster, you can re-normal summon the Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon that's already on the field, and then he'll gain an effect. The effect for him, in this case, states that at the end of a battle phase, if this card attacked or was attacked, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's original attack, and you can only use this effect of Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon once per turn. The thing with most Gemini monsters is they actually tend to have pretty powerful effects, and Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon is obviously no exception to this rule. He burns for damage equal to his... If you blow up anything, or if someone tries to swing at you and you, I don't know, shrink or something so that your opponent's monster is the one that takes the hit, Black Flare Dragon's going to actually just burn them for 24, which is hilarious. But, again, it has its uses. 24 for 2 tributes isn't always going to be the best thing to swing over things, but for what it is, I really like it. Next monster we have up here is the Blackstone of Legend. It is basically the counterpart of the Whitestone of Legend from the Blue Eyes archetype. Only difference, this one's not a tuner. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. Level 1 dragon, 0 attack, 0 defense. The way this guy works is that you contribute this card in order to special summon one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck, except Red Eyes Black Chick. most Red Eyes effects tend to exclude Red Eyes Black Chick, but that's mostly just because of a translation error in from the OCG Red Eyes Black Chick into the regular Red Eyes Black Dragon archetype. It is part of the Red Eyes archetype, but for some reason the translation makes it so that's technically not. Kind of like how Frog the Jam isn't technically part of the Frog archetype, even though Frog is in its name. Only difference is in this case, Red Eyes Black Chick is actually part of the Red Eyes archetype. But I digress. Continuing on with Blackstone of Legends effect, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, except Red Eyes Black Chick. Shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use one Blackstone of Legend effect per turn, and only once that turn. That is amazing. Not only can this card special summon Red Eyes monsters from the deck, but you can recycle any fallen Red Eyes monster other than Red Eyes Darkness or Darkness Metal Dragon, or Red Eyes Metal Dragon, and then you get this guy back into your hand so you can resummon them the following turn. That to me is just hilarious. And since it specifically says a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster, that's anything, really. It can be Red Eyes Wyvern, it can be Red Eyes Black Dragon, it can be Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. Just anything with Red Eyes in the name except for Red Eyes Black Chick. But with all the effects you have, you're not really going to ever need to go for Chick. If this has any downside, I would say that it's only from the deck, so if you draw into it, you're kind of in a bit of a pickle. But with how many targets you should have for this, I don't think that's ever realistically going to be a problem. Next up, we actually have a Summon Skull counterpart called the Red Eyes Lightning Lord Evil Archfiend. He is a level 6 Fiend monster with Summon Skull stats of 2500 attack and 1200 defense, and is also a Gemini monster. Before I get into his thing, I'd just like to point out that our good friend Blackstone of Legend I just mentioned can actually summon this guy because he has Red Eyes in his name. Part of the reason Blackstone of Legend is so hilariously good. But enough of him, let's talk about what the Red Eyes Lightning Lord is capable of. Obviously, since he's a Gemini monster, you're going to have to re-normal summon him or sacrifice your normal summon in order to be able to get off his effect. But for a single tribute monster, his effect is very worth it. I'd say this is probably one of the best Gemini effects I've ever seen since Gigaplant. What he does is that once per turn, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with defense lower than this card's attack. Now, unless you or your opponent is doing something to mess with your monster's attack, that means any face-up monster your opponent controls with less than 2500 defense will die every turn. It doesn't matter how big and beefy they are, if they're not as big as 2500 defense, they're gonna die. There's a lot of monsters that fit that criteria, so this is essentially a slightly more limited Raigeki. And again, since he's just a single star tribute, and one that can be special summoned from the deck by Blackstone of Legend, this is gonna be a really good card. Next up, we have the new fusion monster called Black Dragon Archfiend. I personally enjoy the name just because it reminds me of Jack Atlas and his Red Dragon Archfiend, for those of you who ever watched the dub of 5Ds. I just kind of find that funny. Anyway, this is a fusion monster who requires one level 6 Archfiend normal monster and one Red Eyes normal monster. So that means the first one can either be our good friend Black Dragon Lightning Lord Evil Archfiend, or Summon Skull, who, while he doesn't have Archfiend in his name, has been re-eroded so that he is counted as an Archfiend card. And the normal Red Eyes monster can be Red Eyes Black Dragon or Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. So any two combinations of 4 cards, or any combination of 2 out of 4 cards, I guess, you get the idea. You have some options for this guy. And while it is pseudo-specific, it's very much worth it for what this guy can do. Okay, so he's a level 9 dragon monster with Black Skull Dragon stats, which means 3200 attack and 2500 defense. And he has a couple of effects. The first one is if this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. You heard it here, folks. Konami is going to be giving Red Eyes users a 3200 attack point Armades. That is glorious. Next up, we have at the end of the battle phase, if this fusion summoned card attacked or was attacked, you can target one Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard, aka wherever you used to fusion this thing, and then inflict damage to your opponent equal to that target's original attack and shuffle it back into the deck. So, let me break this down for you guys. He is an Armades that can recycle your Red Eyes monsters and inflict burn damage. This is incredible. I can't even believe that this is real. Thank you, Konami. I take back every evil thing or bad thing I've ever said about you. This makes up for it. The only downside to him is that you can only special summon Black Dragon Archfiend or Archfiends once per turn. So you can only pull this guy out one time every turn, but there's no limitation on how many of this guy you can have. So at the end of 3 turns, you could hypothetically have 3 of these things. And that is just great. I am very much looking forward to this guy. And since they're obviously throwing every possible means of fusion summoning this guy out at us, it would only make sense that they would give us a new fusion card. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Red Eyes Fusion, the brand new fusion card for the Red Eyes archetype. It's a normal spell card, so nothing too gimmicky in that aspect. However, first of all, let's just look at that pretty card art. I like how it's actually specifically showing Summon Skull and Red Eyes Black Dragon being fused together. And with that fiery polymerization look, ooh baby, I could look at that all day. But for your sakes, I will just go ahead and get on with the effect. You can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that lists Red Eyes monster, or list a Red Eyes monster as a fusion material. So it doesn't have to specifically list Red Eyes Black Dragon, but I'm not aware of too many others that don't. Now here's the fun part. When you fusion summon it, you can use monsters from your hand, deck, or side of the field as fusion material monsters. There's no real limitation or cost to using that like there is with Shaddoll Fusion pulling from the deck where you need to have, or where your opponent needs a monster from their extra deck on the field. No. This card just says you can pull it from the deck just because. I think the only reason that they were a little less stingy on that is because Gemini monsters aren't counted as normal monsters in the deck. So when they are, if you do try and pull out the Geminis in the deck, you won't be able to make Black Dragon Archfiend, just because both the Archfiend and the Red Eyes need to be normal monsters. You can still pull out the original combination of that with Red Eyes Black Dragon and Summon Skull, but ultimately it doesn't really make a difference in this one. It's still hilarious to be able to pull it from the deck. And this one, it seems insignificant, but the next part of its effect says that if you do fusion summon a monster with this card, its name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon while it's face up on the field. Now, that seems insignificant until you remember this card, Inferno Fire Blast. Please note that it says that you burn your opponent for the original attack of one Red Eyes Black Dragon you control. Now, normally that would just mean 2400 attacks, since there's not really a way to change the monster's name to Red Eyes Black Dragon. Until this came out. Now, let's take a step back here. Let's ignore these new cards except for Red Eyes Fusion. Let's say you happen to have, I don't know, we'll just say you have Red Eyes Fusion in your hand. So you play your Red Eyes Fusion. You send a Red Eyes Black Dragon and a Meteor Dragon from your deck or hand or wherever to the graveyard, and then fuse Meteor Black Dragon. Well, he's not Meteor Black Dragon anymore. Now he's a Red Eyes Black Dragon by name. Activate Inferno Fire Blast. Last I checked, Meteor Black Dragon's original attack was 3500. You can first turn burn your opponent for almost half their life points at no cost to you other than that monster cannot attack. But if you're taking the first turn, who cares? You're starting off with a 3,500 attack point monster and you've burned them for almost half their life points. That is incredible. Plus, if you were to do this, since Meteor Black Dragon is not an effect monster, you're probably not going to have to worry about something like snatching it up, since most things only target effect monsters, and he's not an effect monster. I just find that hilarious. The only stipulation, going back to Red Eye's fusion, is that you cannot normal or special summon monsters except by this card's effect during the turn you activate this card. And you can only activate one Red Eye's fusion per turn. But, like I just said, if you can do plays like that first turn, who cares? It really doesn't make a difference. But that's the new support for the Red Eyes archetype. I'm excited for it personally. I can't wait to see what this is going to become. I'm definitely building this deck. Once I can actually start testing it out, like once these cards become available on Dev Pro, I'm definitely going to build a framework for it and test it out. But let me know what you guys think of these new cards. Did it sound good, or Red Eyes coming back even just for a niche few who actually like the Red Eyes? Or is Konami wasting their time trying to bring back a dead archetype, or just trying to ride the same hype train they had with Blue Eyes for a little while? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and of course don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, peace.